But you have the godlike character played by the overdramatic Russell Crowe, and then you have and not overdramatic in a bad way, just he brings it to that level.
Right.
And then you have the down to earth of
Kevin Costner,
which is the same dynamic that was in the original Donner film. You know, you had the Western character playing Pa Kent.
Yeah.
And it's just he's supposed to be human, and I think it's going to work very well.
And which is interesting is talking about that down to earth is Russell Crowe usually plays bigger movies like big tentpole movies where Kevin Costner has always been these more down to earth movies, Field of Dreams, Dance with Wolves, almost like
Dance with Wolves down to earth.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say though. Those movies aren't epic scale to where like superhero like Russell Crowe Gladiator, Master and Commander, these huge.
Well, that's the thing. He's supposed to temper the other half of this.
Right.
It's a balancing act, but it's a precarious one, but it could work. Who do we have as far as Superman?
Well, first of all, Martha Kent being played by Diane Lane. Don't be. Oh, come on, Diane Lane, people. Diane Lane.
I mean, Woody Allen, whatever. I don't care. Fine.
Oh,
Let's go.
shut up.
Let's go.
All right.
Ma Kent matters about this much.
Perry White being played by Lawrence Fishburne.
Which was an interesting choice. But, I mean, everyone kind of gets mad whenever we see, let's just point it out, whenever there's a racial shift in a character, people kind of get upset and they accuse the studio of just trying to placate and stuff like that. But it's like, no, Fishburne's a decent actor, at least. If they just wanted anybody, they could have gotten someone for cheaper.
Yeah.
Fishburne, he hasn't been around in a little bit for like a major movie. He's been doing some direct-to-DVD stuff. But
now he's got that television show that's been out right now on NBC, Hannibal.
He's a good actor.
Yeah.
So, no qualms there.
Right.
And then let's go to Lois Lane before we touch off on Super.
Well, Lois Lane, of course, being played. Well, before we even get to Super, we got Lois Lane being played by Amy Adams of
Who Cares fame.
Oh, shut up.
She's eye candy. That's all it is.
Julie and Julia. Let's see, what was the other movie she was in?
She was in The Office.
The Fighter with Mark Wahlberg.
She was in The Office.
Was she in The Office?
I don't know. I'm making stuff
up.
I'm sick out of my mind. Wasn't she dating Jim? I don't know.
No, Trouble with the Curve with Clint Eastwood recently.
What's the S stand for?
It's not an S. On my world, it means hope.
Well, here it's an S. How about...
All right, the villain, before we get to Superman, the villain being...
No, I don't want to talk about Ironside yet.
No, Zod is the villain, General Zod, being played by Michael Shannon. Now we'll get to Superman, all right? Man of Steel, Clark Kent, being played Henry Cavill of The Immortals, Tudors, the Showtime show.
Wasn't he also Jesus in the Mel Gibson movie?
No, that was...
Caviezel.
That's Caviezel. Oh, shut up. Shut up.
Now...
Up-and-coming star Henry Cavill.
You say that, but before we go into any history on the character, because this character requires no introduction, first off. I don't have to do my little intro like we do with Iron Man and the Mandarin and everything like that. Superman is Superman. You've had him on your bed sheet since you were two, folks.
Planet Krypton, everybody knows about him.
But let's talk about the curse real quick. I mean, like the fact that any actor who's ever played this has pretty much met with some very serious tragedy or untimely ends. You got the George Reeves, Hollywood Land thing. You got Christopher Reeve with the polo pony. You have Brendan Ruth falling into film.
That was Ralph.
Doesn't matter. He's in film obscurity now. I can say it however I want.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's been
Tom Welling of Smallville.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you say, "Hey, I want to make a Superman show, but he can't fly, wear the suit, or ever go to Metropolis."
10 years playing a character.
10 years playing. I'm Superman, but with angst. Thanks, Tom. Hey, what's your abilities? I look like Christopher Reeve.
David Goyer was on that show.
Yeah, well,
doing writing, producing.
Yeah, well, they had a lot of people on that show. Whatever,
okay. All right. Oh, and we're forgetting small time Lois and Clark show.
Dean Cain.
Dean Cain, we forgot about him. What's he done? We forgot about him that quickly.
And so, yeah, I'm curious to see what this does, because it's one of those things. Will we ever be able to see this man as anything but Superman now?
That is an issue. I mean, because he'll be such a because what the thing about Superman is he has no mask. So it's not like Batman where anybody can be underneath the cowl.
Clark Kent is the mask. That's the
right,
thing.
exactly. Clark Kent.
He's the reflection, like the whole Kill Bill speech. He's the reflection of how a god sees humanity. We unable to take care of themselves, cowardly.
Right. What I'm saying is he's such. There's no mask to the Superman character. He's just out there, so it's more of a recognizable face.
It's very true. However, I mean, his future career aside, it's a very interesting dynamic they play here, and the only thing I'm going to bring up is that it looks like, from my understandings, from reading around and stuff like that, from the pseudo Hollywood blogs and everything like that, is that this story was taken from a series of comic books that I happen to particularly enjoy, written by a former physicist, actually, who applied actual scientific principles to the Superman universe in the past decade or so, which was called Birthright.
Birthright, yes, yeah.
And it's a 14-part series that was excellently done, and it actually showcases how Superman came to be, Superman within himself. Like, he does a little bit of tour as a journalist in Africa.
Right.
So you see that in the
tries
traveling
to
the
discover
world.
himself.
You're traveling the world part where he's
Yeah.
like he's trying to balance amazing powers with an ability to let mankind evolve and everything like that. And not only that, feeling like a complete total outsider. Like his first instinct is not to help people. His first instinct is going, why am I even here?
Right.
Every other previous incarnation, it was always, I am Superman, I must save. And this has more of the self-doubt. It has the human side.
In this movie, he does save people, but it's more of like he's
hiding.
Yeah,
It's not a symbol.
It's like people are helping, and when he just goes, "Oh, people need help. I guess I'll help them."
Precisely.
But he doesn't go out of his way.
Which is why you hear the Amy Adams voiceover in one of the trailers, which is saying, "How do you chase someone who's been a ghost or tried to make themselves a ghost?"
And speaking of Amy Adams' character, Lois Lane, instead of Lois Lane being stuck in New York, or I say New York, but
she travels the world.
She goes and search for things.
Which is actually
she's proactive.
Which is actually in Birthright, she actually almost tanks her career on these Guardian Angel pieces, but she's obsessed with them.
Yeah.
So she's seeking out Superman before he even shows up.
Right.
And with that as the backstory,
Yeah.
Lex Luthor was the main villain in there. But we've had no mention of Luthor in this trailer. And I don't know if they're doing that separation intentionally or if he's going to be a fundamental part of Metropolis. Because how do you do Metropolis without Lex Luthor? He built the city.
He might be one of those characters that's mentioned around the end of the film when the film's wrapping up. Like he's been watching this whole time.
I don't see them shirking the issue, but I see them bringing him up, but he's in the background.
Yeah, I think,
he doesn't need to be the forefront villain in this one. He'll be more watching with interest, going, so the game's changed a little.
Yeah, yeah.
And not even in an afraid way.
Right.
Just the game's changed. I adapt, and I still am Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
I hope we see something like that, because to ignore Lex Luthor is like,
I've heard
you might as well leave Clark Kent out of it,
there's
which
shots,
is my next thing.
There's shots supposedly in the movie of building the same LexCorp
and stuff like that. That's my next thing. We don't really mention the Clark Kent we all know and love.
We don't even see Clark Kent with glasses on.
Precisely.
We see him scruffled up on an oil rig or something
Precisely.
like that.
So I don't know if we're going to see the journalist who goes to Metropolis. I think Superman comes first.
Which is interesting because seeing Clark Kent glasses, the bumbling reporter, then Superman helps create that separation.
This may just be a well-kept secret, so when we see it, we're surprised as well.
Maybe. Yeah.
However, I don't know. This is one of those things. I don't know.
You will not win. For every human you save, we will kill 1 million more.
I won't betray them.
You already have.
Superman actually seems to struggle in this movie. A lot of people always dismiss Superman as a superhero because he can't be killed almost.
No.
It's very hard to kill him. It's very hard to hurt him. So everyone goes, what real danger is he in? Some of the best incarnations of Superman, he had to struggle, like those old cartoons that we were talking about.
Right.
He had to work in that. Like, it was like when he was fighting off the meteors, he was getting beaten back. Like, he was like, you got the very real idea that he could lose.
Well, and you say that too. In a lot of recent DC, I'm so psyched for this movie. I know I'm just put that out there. I've been watching a lot of DC animated films. You know, the ones that are like 70 minutes long on Netflix. There's a ton of them. And in each one of those incarnations over the past, since like 2005, every Superman role, or every time they show Superman, he's not perfect. He does have to struggle. He can't lift everything. He can't dodge everything. You know, there's a humanity there. There's a vulnerability to the character. And I think that's what, like you said, they're going to take the same thing in this movie.
Yeah.
He's not perfect, you know.
Yeah, he aspires to it.
Right.
But the fact that he makes himself human brings in the vulnerability, because he
Right.
could be perfect, but and not only that, the other thing too is his success is measured against how much destruction is experienced and how much he actually fails his own perfect standards.
Right.
So when Metropolis and Smallville become obviously the forefront for Zod's war, because it seems as though Zod is a sort of traveling warlord who's been looking for Clark.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I keep referring to him as Clark, and I'm going to keep doing that.
We should say Kal-El.
I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say Clark.
You gonna say Clark?
He self-identifies as Clark in the comic.
Right.
Kal-El is who he was.
I'm saying Zod's looking for Kal-El. He even says that. And let me just cut to real quick. In this trailer, real quick, I'm gonna show you. It starts off where Zod comes across as this alien, very alien, like mercenary almost. Or he sends off the little message, "You are not alone. You are not alone." A little message like Kal-El, I know you are here. People of Earth, he is here. Look for him. I need him. If not, I will destroy you, basically. You know, I just want to show this little snippet because that's something about this. He's like you said, a traveler. He's been looking for Kal-El. You know, he's been searching for him. Why?
The early reviews.
Multiple reasons.
The early
why.
reviews say that apparently on Krypton, in this version of things, birthing is controlled, and with it, powers are selected.
Yeah,
So you
it's
don't
not-
get
yeah, it's not
all.
so
You
much
don't
red-
get. You don't get all of it.
It's not a red sun,
did.
yellow sun thing.
Kal-El did.
Because he was become of natural birth, supposedly.
Yeah, that's the way apparently it's supposed to be. So
Where everyone
let's
else-
go check.
whenever-
Let's check out the clip real quick. We'll
Yeah.
come back and finish up on that.
Yeah.
My name is General Zod. I have journeyed across an ocean of stars to reach you. Your world has sheltered one of my citizens. He will look like you, but he is not one of you. To those of you who know of his location, the fate of your planet rests in your hands. To Kal-El, I say this. Surrender within 24 hours, or watch this world suffer the consequences.
Okay, so we obviously see Mr. Shannon here. We have a very powerful villain in this.
Right.
We have a competent cast, competent director, competent
Writing-
crew.
writing, producing,
I
yeah.
have very much faith in Goyer. This movie looks fairly solid, which is a good thing because before we go into the review real quick, every DC franchise is essentially riding on the fate of this movie. This is kind of like what Iron Man was for Marvel.
Right.
Like, all the chips are in this pile. They went all in on this. If this
Yeah.
doesn't do well, no Justice League. We might see a delay on the Batman relaunch. You know, and this is coming
Flash,
off of,
Green
This is
Lantern
coming off
again,
of
yeah.
the Green Lantern debacle and everything like that. All these lawsuits. So Superman's literally carrying the DC universe right now. With that, I don't think they have too much to worry about. Because while I have many qualms about what was being done with the character,
Right.
I have many suspicions about how things are going to be explained and how they're going to try to make an alien journalist real or feel real. I feel the attention to realism might be the only downside here. However, it is Superman. My only requirement is always that I feel 5 years old, and I think that's going to be sufficiently done here. Matinee. I'm not going full out green because I'm tempering myself. Matinee.
And I'm going full out green. I mean, I've been looking forward to this movie since last year when we saw Dark Knight Rises and they leaked the first little teaser trailer. Ever since then, I've been just like so psyched for this movie. Been looking up everything online for it, and I'm just so stoked to see this movie. I mean, I've been like, I have Superman, the Christopher Reeve movie, the Donner edition, on Netflix coming in soon, just to watch that. Just because I gotta get Superman.
Borrow it from me. I could recite the movie backwards and forwards.
Yeah, I gotta see Superman. And
But that's what it's being held
Yeah.
against. So I mean, like, you know.
And I have the midnight ticket for it because I can't wait. I'm going to go see it at midnight. It's the first midnight showing I'm seeing this summer. You know, I'm going Thursday night, 12:01 a.m. I don't care if there's a ton of people in the theater, and if it's as good as I hope it is, and I think it will be, I'll be going to see it the very next day at Shamet Movies, just because I want to see it again. You know?
So we both agree this is definitely a green movie, and with that, I'm pointing to you to send it to them.
Oh, we'll be right back.
You have to decide what kind of man you want to grow up to be. Whoever that man is, good character or bad, he's going to change the world.